Hi, this is a video that I'm posting up on YouTube. I have a Frigidaire front load washer. It's an '05. I did purchase an extended warranty back in '05, but I ran out. I had one little problem back then, but the machine it works pretty good. It does a great job in its performance, but it's also kind of cheap. I paid for the price. It's like all the plastic and everything after a while. They do break down a little bit. I'm the type of person that I like to extend the life of things. I like one of those person that I like to look things up, investigate how things work, and try to figure things out myself. And if I could rig it up somehow and make it work longer, I will do that just to save some money. First things first, you want to go ahead and unplug your washer. Okay? This is a must. Always unplug something. I had a problem, like a lot of people that I've seen in the website, they claim that they had a problem with on the final spin. It worked just fine, water took in, the door closed, but there's a little problem with the locking mechanism. It's a part that you order online. They were pretty expensive at first, and it's right here. This is the problem that it causes after a while. It loses its power to push to keep the lock closed. So when it does this few rinse and everything on the final spin, it looks like this power just somehow, there's a little two little things that touches each other to that way to activate the lock, and it tells the computer in the washer that it's actually having its door closed. But when it does on the final spin, something happens here that it kind of like separates. It kind of loses its power and it kind of separates that contact, and it says boom, and it shuts off on the last 10 minutes or so. If you have this problem, normally they have this like Kenmore washers, Frigidaire, but this washing machine has done pretty good for me. I know a lot of people that probably don't understand or can't fix things. They have to pay a lot of money for service work and all that, and they realize it costs them a lot of money. But I'll tell you how to get by, how I got by to rig this thing up to make it work for the meantime. Okay, and I'll show you that in a minute. But it's a temporary fix, and I've done that. This part right here, I got it from another washer. It only lasts me for a year. I went ahead and bought a new one. I got it for about $30 on Amazon. It costs about 90 bucks or so, almost 100 bucks if you buy local. And I seen the price drop because I couldn't afford it back then. But when I seen it for $30 for free shipping, I said, I'll go ahead and grab it, It's better than spending $30 and make it live longer. See if it lasts me another couple of years, and that way I could save up some money. Okay, this is what it goes. It goes right here. This is your locking mechanism. You get 2 Phillips screwdriver. Okay. And what I have a Phillips and a flathead. I use the flathead so I could go right underneath here. There's that spring coil that goes in here, and the spring is right below here. If you use a flathead screwdriver, you could pull it out of the way, and I stick my finger right underneath there. And this is what I'll do. I just pull it a little bit, and it comes out easy. Okay, it goes all the way around like that. And set it down. You want to go ahead. This is where you look up your model number. Sometimes this numbers fade away, but I can give you an idea. You use one of those halogen flashlight. You angle it and you flash it to where you might see the imprint where the number's at, and write it down. And I keep that in the file cabinet. It's like when you steer a credit card and you can't see the numbers, you kind of have to angle it to the lighting so you can see the imprint. It's something like that too. So that's how I got my information, so I could get the right part number. That's a must. What I do, I like to reach down here after I pull the ring out, and then kind of like unfold everything out of the way, and see, here I go. I could reach back here, and I could go ahead and unscrew it. So you take these 2 screws out, and I'll go ahead and show you. This is a new part, by the way, but I want to show you what I have done. I'll probably help a lot of people by doing this. Once you take these 2 screws out, it's pretty easy. Okay, make sure you don't lose your screws. It's kind of hard to hold on to the camera. and do this. Right. Right. Okay. Come over here. Then what I do, I reach in here. It'll come right back out. You have these wires. This one you can pretty much put it either way. This is what's the problem. You can buy this separate for the price that I pay. I just bought the whole thing. I mean, this little thing costs, and shipping costs almost just as much as getting this whole piece here. On the back side, if you flip it around, you see these little clips. You got to push it back, and once you push it back, and you just kind of wiggle it loose. Same thing with this one. Push it back, wiggle it loose. It only goes in one way because you have these little things that sticks out, and it only plugs in one way. If you look at the back side, that's what it does. It only goes in one way. And then when you buy a new part, you go ahead and just push it back in. You know, it'll snap in place. It only goes one way and snaps in place. Here's the other one. Here, and slaps in place. Then what you got to do is make sure you clear this button here. There's another wire. You got to make sure you don't tangle with it. But just you don't have to force it or nothing. Just make sure that you have enough room in there. And you go ahead, put these screws back in place. Okay. Make sure it's nice and tight. You want to hold pressure from the back side, so that way you know you have it nice and flat in the front. Takes a little effort, but you want to make sure that screw's nice and tight so you don't have any play. Here's your secondary screw. Put it in there. Make sure you have it nice and straight, because when it's brand new, it doesn't have any threads. So you have to kind of make your own thread. You don't want to strip the screw. So you want to have them nice, firm. Make sure you have a good screwdriver so you won't strip your screw head. Okay, it's nice and tight. And I just kind of flip this over. Make sure you kind of pull it back and make sure it settles inside that ring. That way you won't have any leakage. You want to make sure you push it in, pull it back like this all the way around. Pull it back, make sure it goes in there. It kind of pockets in behind the metal. Okay, all the way around. Make sure you got it all like that. Pull it back a little bit, make sure it pockets. See, now it's settled inside. Take the wire, make sure the spring is at the bottom area. So I like to go ahead, hook up the top, then kind of like swing it around until that spring is right in the center. Make sure it's in there. Okay. I'll swing it around. So once I got the top and around the side, then you can spread it apart, kind of like wrap it over it. It's not that hard. You gotta make sure it's settled in there. That way it'll hold the rubber in place. So that secures that rubber. You got yourself a quick fix there. Okay. I heard stories from other people who turn around. They try to tell me there's other parts wrong with it. But what it actually does is the clothing stays there and it's still wet. It didn't do a final spin. What it does is it's telling the washer that the door's not locked. And I show why it does that, but I could show you how to temporarily fix it until you order your new part. But that'll get you by, you can do your laundry and everybody will be happy just for the meantime, okay? This is very weak here too, so you gotta be careful having people just they intend to put pressure on this when they open and close the door. But you wanna make sure that this door closed nice and you don't no slamming it. Okay? This is the old part, and I'll tell you how I used to get by. There's these little legs on the side here. And what I do is I open it up, push it in like this. It'll separate one side, one in here, separate it here, and I open it up on the other side. Let me go over here with this more lighting. Okay. Now, what I did, like I showed you before, stuck it on this side, separate it a little bit, stuck it on this side, and I separated a little bit. That splits this apart. You gotta be careful that nothing else, you know, it's a little piece that might spring out. And then at this end over here, on the side, I just wiggle it open, okay? Then I turn it around this way, and you can see everything. This magnetized, that's what it tells the computer to lock. Clunk. These two little things here, when this pushes it, this is the piece that loses its power after a while. So you gotta push these two little things together. It'll make contact. Once that makes contact, it tells this magnetic spring back that it holds it in and locks it in mechanism. It just locks it in. But when it does the final spin, it starts losing its power. You know, starts kind of like hitting, swinging back and losing its power. And that's what separates these two little contacts here. And once it separates these two little contacts here, it makes your washing machine stop and say, hey, the door is open. But I'll show you a quick fix here. I just pull this little, it just comes out like this. I just be careful and I just swing it out, take it out. And what I did, I just kind of bend it back just a little bit, not too much, because you don't want to be touching all the time. So I just bend it back just a little bit to where it will be kind of close enough to touch this here. See right here, it's just very, I don't want it to touch. This one I kind of went a little bit too much. You could pull it apart a little bit if you're too close. But the idea is when this activates, it touches these two, touch it, and it does what it has to do. And then when it starts losing power, at least you can do the final spin. It'll do the wash. But then you're still gonna have to replace this thing, you know, because it's not gonna work forever. It's just a temporary fix. You gotta be careful on this thing. Make sure it sits on its place. See how it works, because sometimes when I did it, it popped out, and I had to make sure that I had to put it in its proper location. Okay. Then once you have this put together, what you want to do, simply just set the cover back in place and snap it in there. There you go. Your part is temporarily fixed because you cheated. You went ahead and make sure that when this thing activates, it activates and it works, and at least if it starts releasing, it's still activated until your final spin. That's our temporary fix, and I hope you enjoy this, and you may subscribe and give me an answer about how you feel, and I hope I'll solve a lot of headaches for a lot of people. Take care, enjoy.